everyone, this is Jim and I'm back with another video. This one is on my Scream Factory standard versions. These are not collector's editions, these are the Scream Factory standard editions. And none of these have slipcovers, but I hope you enjoy. And if you do, please give me a thumbs up, a like, and possibly subscribe and leave a comment, please. I would love to hear your feedback on this. So with that in mind, here we go. These are in alphabetical order, by the way. Okay, first we have the Amityville Horror, the original one with James Brolin and Margot Kidder. This was part of the box set that they released, but some guy on eBay was selling these separately, and quite frankly, I'm not a real big fan of the other movies, but I do have a lot of affection for this one. 1979, I saw this in the theaters when I was a kid, and a lot of it is nostalgic value. So, but the Amityville Horror. Next, another nostalgic one from my childhood is The Beast Within. The crazy guy turns into a cicada movie from the early 80s. And again, not the best of movies. I got nostalgic reasons for this, but the transformation scene at the end is still really good. It still holds up. The finished product, not so much. But yeah, 1981, I was about 14 when this came out. I saw it at the drive-in. So that's The Beast Within. Next, this is a movie not too many people own or have seen. Brain Dead, with Bill Pullman, Bill Paxton, and George Kennedy, and Bud Cort, and Nicholas Pryor from Risky Business. He was Tom Cruise's dad in Risky Business. This is a true mind scramble of a movie. This is a lot of fun. If you get a chance to get this movie, because it's still available, it's a Roger Corman type movie, 1990. I don't want to describe it without giving it away. It's one of those movies that's got a buttload of twists and turns. It's not necessarily a horror movie, but it's horror related. So yeah, Brain Dead. I can't recommend this movie enough. Next, more nostalgia from my childhood. Bug. The giant mutant flaming cockroach movie. I picked this one up recently for like under $10, so the price was right. And it's not the best movie by any stretch, but it's got some kitsch factor to it. 1970, what is it, 1975? Yeah, I was 8 years old. But it's directed by the guy that directed Jaws 2. And again, it's a fun movie. It's nothing more than that. Something that you would have seen at the drive-in way back when. Speaking of drive-in movies from the 70s, we have The Car. James Brolin, Ronnie Cox. This is basically Jaws as a car. Don't know if the car is like from hell or if it's the devil or what. I mean, they kind of play around with it. They don't really give you any answers, but you know what? It doesn't really matter. This movie's a lot of fun. Again, B movie, something that would play in the drive-ins back in the day. This came out in '77. This is definitely a Jaws ripoff. Even though it's, you know, sit out in the desert with a car instead of a shark. But yeah, The Car is a lot of fun. Next, we have Dark Angel, aka I Come in Peace, with Dolph Lundgren. I always refer to this movie as I Come in Peace because that's how it was released here in the States, as far as I know. I don't remember it being released as Dark Angel. But I was going to keep it on my shelf under I Come in Peace, but the disc says Dark Angel, so I just kept it as is. But yeah, 1990. And this is a cheese factory big time, but it's a lot of fun. It's got that iconic line that they even ran in the trailer. I come in peace, you leave in pieces. So, yeah, that's Dark Angel. Next, we have George A. Romero's adaptation of Stephen King's The Dark Half. This movie is long out of print. This was one of the first Scream Factory titles I ever got, way back when. A lot of people don't like this movie all that much. I like it a lot. I think, Timothy Hutton's really good in it, but to me, it was great seeing Michael Rooker play a good guy as at this point in his career, he was basically playing nothing but heavies, and he plays the sheriff in this, and he's really good in it. And again, it's a Romero movie, and it's a Stephen King book. I mean, come on. So, yeah, 1993. It's Dark Half. Next, we have The Doctor and the Devils. This is from 1985. This is loosely based on a true story. And this was a blind buy for me when I bought it recently. I got this on the most recent Shocktober sale because it was pretty cheap, and it's got an insane cast, which was the main reason why I got it. I mean, look at the cast. Timothy Dalton, Jonathan Pryce, Twiggy, Julian Sands, rest in peace, Stephen Ray, Patrick Stewart's in this. I mean, yeah. And it's a good movie. It's a slow burn, but it gets pretty nasty. So, The Doctor and the Devils. Next we have Eyes of a Stranger, slasher movie from the 80s, from my childhood. It's more of a suspense movie than a standard slasher. It is a little rapey for my tastes, but it's a product of its time. And stars Jennifer Jason Leigh as a blind girl in a very early role from her, 1981. Eyes of a Stranger. Next we have The Final Terror. This is directed by Andrew Davis, who went on to do The Fugitive and Under Siege, among other movies. And again, the thing that stands out about this movie is the cast. Rachel Ward, Daryl Hannah, Adrian Zmed, Mark Metcalf, who was in Animal House, Joe Pantoliano in a very young role. Yeah, this movie is really weird, 1983, but it is entertaining. And again, it's got a great cast. So that's The Final Terror. This is a newer, I got this on the recent Shocktober sale. This is Fire in the Sky, alien abduction movie. I don't really know if I would call this a horror movie, but it does have one scene in particular that is horrific and very well done and very creepy. And again, fantastic cast in this movie. D.B. Sweeney, Robert Patrick, James Garner, Peter Berg, Craig Sheffer from Nightbreed. Yeah, this movie is really great. It came out in 1993. Yes. And it's a good movie. It's supposedly based on a true story. I don't know if I believe it or not, but that's neither here nor there. It's a really well-made movie. Next, another one from my childhood, Ghost Story. This came out in 1981 and has a legendary cast. Fred Astaire, Melvin Douglas, Douglas Fairbanks Jr., and John Houseman in the four main roles. And I'm pretty sure this was the last movie for a couple of those guys. Yeah, this was a movie that came out when I was a kid. I was like 14 when this came out. And it's a slow burn, but it's got a couple of really creepy scenes in it. And Alice Krige is phenomenal in this movie. She's from Sleepwalkers and Star Trek First Contact, among other things. This was the first thing I ever saw her in. And yeah, she's great. And it's a solid movie. It's not, it's not going to win any awards, but it's solid. Okay, we have another slasher movie from the early 80s. He Knows You're Alone. This is a slasher who goes after brides before their wedding day because he was jilted at the altar. And the thing that this movie is most remembered for is there he is. It's the big screen debut for Tom Hanks. I remember when I saw this on cable back in the day, he was on Bosom Buddies, old sitcom at the time, and I remember saying, hey, it's that guy from Bosom Buddies. Hey, who knew? But yeah, He Knows You're Alone. Next we have The Island with Michael Caine and the great David Warner, who I absolutely adore and everything. This is based on a Peter Benchley novel, the guy who wrote Jaws and The Deep. And it's about pirates. And 1980. It's not the best movie, but I forgot how bloody it is. And upon this rewatch, when I got this not too long ago, yeah, I was shocked how bloody it was. So if you like good old-fashioned violence, The Island's right up your alley. Okay. Next we have Jack's Back with James Spader. It's kind of a reimagining of the Jack the Ripper tale. Again, I didn't see this theatrically. I saw this on video when I was working at the video store back in the day. And I got it originally because I really like James Spader. And yeah, it's a decent movie. It's more of a thriller than a horror movie. But 1988, and Jack's Back, James Spader. Next we have The Legacy, starring Catherine Ross, Roger Daltrey, Sam Elliott, and Sam Elliott's mustache. And this is it's not that great. I remember seeing the commercials when I was a kid. I never saw it. This was a blind buy a couple of years ago in 1978. Yeah, I'm like 11 there, but watched it and thought, yeah, it's all right. It's not horrible, but it's not something that I would really rush out to watch again. So, next we have John Carpenter's Memoirs of an Invisible Man with Chevy Chase, Daryl Hannah, and the great Sam Neill, who is phenomenal in this movie. The movie itself, the special effects are still really good. They still really hold up. The movie is kind of uneven, but it's entertaining, and Sam Neill is great. Like I said, Sam Neill is great and everything. But I'm a John Carpenter guy. I love John Carpenter, and I had to have this one, so it's part of my collection. Next, we have another George Romero movie. Another one that's way out of print, Monkey Shines, with that creepy-ass monkey. This one stars Jason Beggy, who's on Chicago PD, I believe now, or Chicago Fire, one of the two, and John Pankow, who was in To Live and Die in L.A., and among others. But this is another one of those Romero movies that just doesn't get talked about that much. And again, it's not necessarily a horror movie; it's more of a thriller. 1988. But I really enjoyed this movie. I always have. I thought it was, it's Romero. I love Romero, so that's Monkey Shines. Next, we have another one from my childhood, and another Jaws ripoff. Orca, the Killer Whale. Richard Harris, Charlotte Rampling, and Bo Derek, I believe, in her movie debut. This was before 10. And another Jaws ripoff, but again, this was another one of those movies I saw at the drive-in when I was a kid. And 1977, I was 10. And yeah, I've always loved this movie, and I still do. It's like a cross between Jaws and Moby Dick. It's kind of ridiculous. I don't know how realistic it is, especially towards the end. But love me some Orca. So Next, another one from my childhood. I know you're getting tired of hearing that, but it's true. From 1979, The Prophecy, which is the Mutant Bear movie, or as they call it, The Monster movie. John Frankenheimer directed. Another one I saw at the drive-in. Went to the drive-in a lot when I was a kid. Talia Shire, Robert Foxworth, Armand Assante playing a Native American, which is kind of funny in itself. And yeah, this movie, it's bad. It's bad. But you know what? Like a lot of my movies, especially in this line, I got them strictly for nostalgic reasons. And that's one of them for sure. Okay, this is a really strange one, but it's cool. Ravenous. It's a cannibal movie. And again, killer cast. Guy Pearce, Robert Carlyle, J. Red Davis, Jeffrey Jones, David Arquette, among others. Neil McDonough's in this. And yeah, again, I always considered this more of a black comedy than anything. It's not scary. It is horrific, but 1999. But yeah, this isn't the best transfer of all time, but the movie, it's solid. It's definitely entertaining. If you haven't checked it out, please do. It's worth watching. Okay, next we have Russell Mulcahy's Australian mutant killer pig movie Razorback, or as Cargill and Salisbury would say on their podcast, Razorback. And stars the guy from Trapper John MD, the TV show from back in the day. Gregory Harrison, I'm sorry. I was flaking on his name. But 1984, this was another movie that I saw on video. This did not get a theatrical release anywhere near me. I was in high school at the time. But again, it's one of those movies you sit back with a couple of beers and you have a good laugh, and yeah, it's fun. Next we have Screamers with Peter Weller and Jennifer Rubin. And it's a science fiction horror movie, you know, but it's a B movie. It's solid, though. Peter Weller's great. He's always great. And sorry about the white guys. That's a little better. And this came out in 95. And again, not the best movie, but it's solid, and I'm glad to have it in my collection. Sorry, let me move some adjustments here. Okay, next. Another one from my childhood. Did not see this at the theater. The Sentinel. It's a slow burn ghost story. Kind of like Rosemary's Baby, I guess. You know. But this is another movie with killer cast. I mean, look at that cast. Chris Sarandon, Martin Balsam, John Carradine, Jose Ferrer, Ava Gardner, Burgess Meredith, Sylvia Miles, Eli Wallach, Beverly D'Angelo's in this. Oh, believe me, Beverly D'Angelo's in this. Tom Berenger shows up, Jeff Goldblum. I mean, yeah, incredible cast. And again, this is a slow burn, satanic type movie, but you know, it's solid. And it's definitely got some memorable scenes in it, but I won't go into that here. Next. Session 9. This is one of the creepiest movies I've ever seen. David Caruso, among others. This is a solid movie. If you like haunted house movies, with, you know, limited gore, but, you know, real intense and high tension scenes, this is definitely up your alley. This is a really intense movie. 2001. Session 9. Next, Wes Craven's immortal Swamp Thing with Adrienne Barbeau. This movie is not good, but it's a lot of fun. And Adrienne Barbeau is breathtaking in this movie. I've always had a crush on her since I was a small child and saw her on Maude. But This one's relatively new to the collection. It's out of print. I know they've got a new 4K from a different company. This is 1982. So because of that, I was able to procure this very cheaply. So I was happy to get it. Next, another one from my childhood. The Town That Dreaded Sundown with Ben Johnson and Mary Ann from the Gilligan's Island. And this Blu-ray also comes with a second movie, The Evictors, starring Michael Parks from just about every Tarantino movie. But this is based on a true story. The weird thing about this movie is it's like half horror movie, half, standard horror movie, and half documentary style. It's a strange combination. And there's also a couple of scenes where slapstick humor comes out of nowhere. But, it's an uneven movie, but it is decent. Next, this is a new one to my collection. It's been out of print for a long time. Bill Paxton, the late great Bill Paxton in The Vagrant. This was directed by Chris Wallace, who also directed The Fly 2 and did the effects for The Fly. This is a dark comedy. Michael Ironside's in this as well, and Marshall Bell. Quato himself. 1992. That's The Vagrant. Okay, we're almost done here, guys. I'll try to speed this up. I'm sorry it's taken so long. Okay, from 1985, Warning Sign. This is a solid thriller. Again, not necessarily a horror movie. It's got some horrific things in it. But, again, great cast. Kathleen Quinlan and Sam Waterston are the two main stars, but Yaphet Kotto's in this, and Jeffrey DeMond, among others. Richard Dysart from The Thing. And this is one of those quarantine-type movies. They work in a lab, and a virus breaks out in the lab, and they have to shut it down, and pretty soon people start going crazy. And this movie is really good. Next we have Windows with Talia Shire. This is a stalker movie, kind of. Talia Shire's being stalked. She befriends the nice neighbor lady, and it turns out, not the, spoiler alert, sorry, but it turns out the nice neighbor lady is the one who's stalking her. 1980. This is an exploitation movie, but it's good. I liked it. It's well made. Let's put it that way. Speaking of exploitation, Without Warning. the goofy alien with the killer frisbees. Yeah, I mean, look at that guy. That's great. But again, this little B movie for way back when. Look at this cast: Jack Palance, Martin Landau, David Caruso's in this. Larry Storch from F Troop, for God's sake. But 1980. This is another one that came out when I was a kid. I did not see this at the drive-in like all these other ones. I saw this one on cable. And again, it's not a great movie, but for kitsch value and for the price that I got it at, it was worth it. Okay, exploitation galore. We have The Vampire Lovers from the early 70s. Ingrid Pitt, the beautiful Ingrid Pitt. And yeah, it's basically exactly what it looks like. It's a lesbian vampire movie. Peter Cushing's in this too. But 1970. I was 3 years old when this movie came out. And again, it's not the best of the Hammer era vampire movies, but it's certainly not the worst. Okay, now we're into my double features. We have Bad Dreams and Visiting Hours. There's the back. These are both solid movies, but I more or less got this one for Bad Dreams. Bad Dreams came out in 88, and Visiting Hours came out in 82. Best thing about Visiting Hours is Michael Ironside is a killer. He's great. Bad Dreams is more or less the same exact movie as Dream Warriors. Even stars one of the people from Dream Warriors, Jennifer Rubin. But it's a fun movie, and check it out if you can. This one, on the other hand, The House Where Evil Dwells and Ghost Warrior. The House Where Evil Dwells is the reason why I got this. That was another one of those movies from cable that I remember seeing, and I never heard of the Ghost Warrior when I got this. And I watched them both, and they are not good. Neither of them are very good. As a matter of fact, I would go so far as to say Ghost Warrior is bad. But yeah, Ghost Warrior is from 1986, and House Where Evil Dwells is from 82. And we're coming up to the end here, folks. I swear. Oh, wrong one. We have the Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2 double feature. It's got both of the first two movies, obviously. I did not like the other ones. But these two, especially the first one, are solid horror movies. I know the director is a piece of shit, and the less said about that guy is the better. But I'm one of those people that can kind of separate the artist from the art. I don't know if that makes me a bad person or not. So I am able to watch these movies without the baggage, but I certainly, yeah, that guy's a piece of shit. And my final one is another double feature and another one from my childhood. Love at First Bite and Once Bitten. Most people know Once Bitten. I got this movie for Love at First Bite, because that's the one that I saw when I was a kid. George Hamilton and Richard Benjamin and Artie Johnson, Susan St. James. Jim Carrey's in the other one. And again, they're both pretty bad, but I still got a lot of nostalgic love for Love at First Bite. That's from 79. Once Bitten's from 85. And no bonus features on this, unfortunately. Just a couple theatrical trailers. But again, I got that in the Shocktober sale last year, and got it really cheap, so I was happy for it. So anyways, that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry it went on a little long. If you like what you saw, please give me a thumbs up and a comment. And if you would be so kind to subscribe, I would really appreciate it. So until the next one, thank you, and we'll see you then.